Hi, my name's Tann. I'm a local musician and I'm here to interview Mad King Ludwig about his new album, Do What Makes You Happy. Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Yeah, doing good, yeah.
Excellent. So, when's this new album coming out?
Coming out the 13th of January next year, and then we're going to have the launch show here at the Joiners on the 26th of January. Joiners is a venue I've played out quite a bit over the past couple of years, you know, one of my favourite venues in Southampton, indeed the country. Lovely people here, and it's just seemed like a perfect place to come and give the album its kind of first airing into the world.
Fantastic. So, how many tracks are on the album?
There are 9 tracks on the album, and kind of in a bit of an old school way, I've kind of compartmentalised them with a side A and a side B. So side A, you've got some of the more raw stuff, which has got like a live band with drums and double bass and myself and guitar and a bit of stuff over the top. And then the other half of the album, which we actually recorded on a houseboat, it was kind of built sort of bit by bit and has a few guest appearances here and there with some slide guitar and strings on the last track as well. So it's a bit of an eclectic mix because I've got a bunch of different influences that have gone into this album.
So how long did it take to get the order of the album? Because making an album nowadays is quite a rare thing. What with things like Spotify, where people just tend to listen to tracks, how have you got together this group of tracks, and what sort of order have you put them in? What was your thought process?
Well, yeah, I come from this like school of like album making, like, you know, when it transitioned from being just a collection of songs to being like a full kind of body of work, like with a theme behind it, like. Otherwise, I just put a single or an EP out.
So you talked about your influences. So the inevitable question is, what kind of influences have influenced this album?
Deepest influences like Tom Waits. He's someone I very flatteringly get compared to a lot of the time. And just his idea of writing songs, and they're almost kind of like mini plays or mini films, and he kind of really gets into a character and transports you to a totally unique place. And just the way he records as well, because he uses lots of unconventional instruments and sounds. Like on his records from like the 80s onwards, you'll think, is that flute in the background? It's actually a chair being dragged across the studio floor, or he's using a chest of drawers as percussion. I used a lot of that influence to sort of bring the unusual into what can be quite predictable recording. So, you know, we use real drums and kitchen percussion, as I call it, so, you know, pots and pans and wooden spoons and stuff for some of the tracks, to give it a bit more of an atmosphere, or kind of a more theatrical atmosphere. So that's kind of a big influence. And then I'm really influenced by lots of blues musicians like Howlin' Wolf and C6 Steve, a more modern one. I think some of the tracks have got quite a strong C6 Steve vibe. And then more modern bands like Idols, like I've become a massive fan of theirs. You know, the way they managed to make all other punk bands seem like a waste of time. And I don't mean that in any disrespect to punk bands of a different ilk, because I love punk in all different varieties, whether it's the Ramones or Black Flag or Nirvana, even, I guess, in a way, but because they're playing old school punk with a really positive attitude, rather being like the Sex Pistols, you know, saying like, you know, burn everything down and, you know, no future, and then, you know, within 6 months the whole movement is burnt to the ground. They're actually building something that's very positive, and their latest album in particular, one of my favourite tracks off that is Danny the Delco, because they made a chorus out of what is basically like a psychological deconstruction of, you know, how sort of nationalistic paranoia works. You know, the chorus line is fear leads to panic leads to pain leads to anger leads to hate, and that's a chorus. You think, how? And then people are singing that, and they're getting a lot of traction at the moment, and they've got this beautiful kind of online presence as well, and they're just putting a lot of positive energy into the world. I'm trying not to take myself too seriously, but it's definitely in there. Like, there's a song on the record called Never Been a Stranger, which is kind of from the perspective of somebody, you know, who's been born and bred in this country, or indeed any country, who's fearful of people coming from elsewhere, because that person has never been strange. They've only ever known what's in their town, their community. I'm not trying to criticise in being political, because obviously I have my political view, and, you know, kind of engaging or talking to people with opposite views. I would never want to, you know, kind of project hate or overly criticize, but try and get into. I think what idols do so well is they kind of articulate where other people from opposed views are coming from, and not preach to them, not say you're terrible, and not be full of hate, but try and say, I understand where you're coming from. Let's try and get to a kind of more mutually beneficial, love-inspired, kind of place.
When you talked about the tour for next year, what 3 dates are you looking forward to the most?
3 dates. So we'll do like I guess it's a difficult one in a way because I'm excited about doing the tour because it's going to be the first tour I've done myself. I've done gigs around the country in kind of little spurts. I played with a band which some people in Southampton will know, Mad King Ludwig and the Mojo Co. And yeah, we've done well for an independent band in the past couple of years, and just got to a point where we're taking a hiatus for the moment. It gave me some space to put my own record together and then try and tour it as well. And the band that I'm going on tour with, I'm really excited about, which kind of makes every gig, whoever it is, whoever it's going to be to, really exciting, because we've got Steph Croup from Mad King Ludwig and the Mojo Co. on guitar and harmonica, and no doubt other things because he's a very talented guy, can play anything from a saw. We're going to have Sian Unwin, who's a local double bass player and electric bass player. She's very talented, really excited to have her on board. And this guy called Paul Gunter, who's a percussionist based over in Worthing, who drummed with the musical Stomp for 22 years, and is just somebody who I'm really glad to have been put in touch with, because he's I'm looking for somebody who's kind of in between a conventional drummer and somebody who's just bashing away at a bunch of kind of junkyard items. That's really exciting for a sound and spectacle, being on stage, just making percussion out of strange things. And we're going to Bristol, which is the town I've always loved playing. Bristol's a really colourful, vibrant city where people love their culture, and we'll go out and see new things. That's going to be exciting. And going to Cardiff in the region there, and Stroud, which are both really great music towns, and doing a couple of gigs in London, and going over into Kent as well, which I've always had a great time over there. So yes, mostly like sort of various ends of the south and the Midlands, for about 12 dates or so.
So you're going to play a song now. Which song are you going to play?
So the song I'm going to play is about the time my houseboat almost sank, and how about that was one of the best things that happened to me. Almost losing your livelihood can seem like a terrible thing, but it makes you appreciate what you've actually got if you do manage to hang on to it.
Drowning